Hey, what's up guys? Coach Nate here from The Run Experience with Dan Cox. Today, we are gonna talk about half marathon training tips for the on-the-go runner. Dan, you're a pretty busy guy, right?
A little bit, yeah.
You've done some half marathons too?
Done some half marathons, some full marathons, some Ironmans, so kind of ran the gamut.
And you managed to get it all in there. So we're gonna pick Dan's brain, show and figure out like how he balances his business with his travel, with his training. It's gonna be a good video, guys. Stick around. Hey, thanks to Aftershokz headphones for sponsoring today's video. Stay tuned for a little later on just to hear a little bit more about why we like these headphones so much and how they could be a great addition to you and your running. Now, what was your training like when you were on TV? And just tell us a little bit more about what that whole thing was.
I started doing triathlons before I owned my own companies and before I was on reality TV. So the first show I got asked to be on was The Bachelor. So I was one of 26 guys, but I had to figure out training there. So we would do like hill runs in the backyard. Like we'd be using sandbags for workouts like kettlebells. It was pretty crazy. And then once I got off the show, obviously I'd get back into training, but ironically, I was actually training for an Ironman and then got invited back to go on Bachelor in Paradise, which was a lot better experience.
And you guys, if you think like running takes a lot of time and marathon is grueling, I'm not taking anything away, like imagine doing all the runs that you do and then adding, you know, cycling and swimming to that in the week. It's just, it is dense. It is so much.
It's a lot.
It's like
of
training calculus trying to fit all these sessions in your week.
And it's all, I mean, triathletes are notoriously known for overtraining because there is a sense of, oh my God, like I only ran today. Like I have 2 other sports I need to train, you know? So it is, you know, it's one of those things. Running does help more than any sport, from my opinion. You'll get more out of your run training than you will out of putting that same amount of time in biking or swimming. The biking and swimming training is necessary, but running really does help out with those other 2 sports. With swimming, it really helps out cardiovascular. With biking, it helps out obviously with the leg performance and durability. So getting the running in, if my time is stacked and I can't, or like I'm traveling and I can't take my bike, I'll double up on my runs just because you'll still get more benefit out of those runs than obviously not doing anything at all.
For sure. Well, let's get into that first tip and the rest of these tips because Dan's got a lot to offer us today. So a huge component and thing that we all struggle with is figuring out when to slot our workouts in and how to be adaptable with a week that we don't always have 100% control over. So how do you plan ahead and also be adaptable? Like what are your
So for me, it's looking at your week, right? And seeing if you're traveling or not. If you're home, obviously what do you have at your home? That you could typically, you know, train around. So whether that's running outside, being on the treadmill. When you're traveling, it's really figuring out what time frames to get in the training, where you're traveling to. We're in San Francisco right now, it's raining. Didn't really go for a run outside this morning, so jumped on the treadmill. You know, so it's adapting to every situation. But for me, the biggest thing is not giving yourself an excuse. Like it's raining, doesn't matter. You can still find a way to train. You know, so that's the biggest thing is just being adaptable. Having a plan is great, but being able to adapt around that plan if your work week changes, if your travel schedule changes, is very important to be able to stick and focus to your training.
For sure. And let's say you had this hour run, but you only had 30 or 40 minutes. Do you just scrap the run altogether?
No, still do it. Like that's the thing. And the great thing about running is you could still get a great training in a short period of time. Like for triathletes, they know this, like you can get a great swim in a short period of time. You can get a great run in a short period of time. The bike takes forever. Like you have to be on your bike for 2 hours to get anything out of it. So doing high intensity training, doing some speed work and track work really will help you make the most out of that time if your window is getting crunched down.
Now, especially for half marathon training, we do need to get those long runs in there, and hopefully we can move those around. Have you ever had to move those around in your schedule?
So typically what I try to do with a half marathon training is get in my shorter speed runs during the week, and then do my longer runs on the weekend. So usually Saturday's like the big longer run, and then Sunday becomes like a recovery run, and then speed work and technique throughout the week.
Awesome. So, Dan, what do you like about Aftershokz? How did you even find them?
Yeah, so I actually I live in Vegas, and so I had gone to CES, which is the Consumer Electronic Convention, and I was looking for a new headphone. I was tired of, at the time I was training for an Ironman, and I'd have one earbud in and one earbud out during my training so I could hear road noise and everything else going on. And so I really was seeking just a better option. Came across a ton of different options at CES. Aftershokz stood out. They gave me a pair to try out. I tested them after one time. I was like, I'm in 100%, like whatever you guys can use me for, whatever you need me for. I love this product. Now it's to the point where if like it freaks me out that people are in the gym or they're out running with earbuds in. Like
it kind of freaks me out
like
too.
Even just commuting, like not being able to hear your surroundings is the most crazy thing, especially when you're training.
Totally.
And so, you know, a lot of people think about, well, if I'm on the bike, yeah, it makes sense. If I'm running, yeah, that makes sense. But even in the gym, like how many awkward moments have you had where you like, you know, bump into someone or drop something? So it's wild that in-earbud headphones are still a thing. I'm addicted to, I wear them all day for work, for training. They're great to have.
We both got ours on.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again to Aftershokz for making this video happen, for bringing Dan onto this video with us. Let's get back to this video.
And you guys won't go back to in-earbud headphones, I promise.
You won't go back. So speaking of not having a lot of time, but I still want to get something in, what can I do, right? What can I do that it still feels efficient and effective if I don't have necessarily that full hour or 2 hours that I had originally planned?
If you're crunched with time, speed work to me is one of the most effective things. So trying to do tempo work where you're going at a really fast pace, slowing your heart rate down, go back up to a really fast pace, get your legs used to running at a quicker pace will really benefit. But also if you just have the gym to work off of, plyometric training is awesome. So anything you can do that's like jump squats, you know, one-legged step ups with weights, without weights, anything that'll give you constant muscle endurance with those same muscles that you're using to run will help benefit and honestly prevent a lot of injury as well.
Yeah. What would be like an example, like strength session that you might do? Like you're at a hotel gym, you don't have a lot of stuff, and you're like, okay, I've got 20 or 30 minutes.
For sure.
Here we go.
I feel like I could write like a whole blog on like hotel gyms because I've used so many, but you know, really when you go to a hotel gym and you find a kettlebell, it's like heaven. You're like, it's like, light came down on it. So, so kettlebell training is one of the easiest, right? So you can do the kettlebell swings, American or Russian style. And then, you know, doing deadlifts with the kettlebells really will help strengthen up your, you know, posterior chain. And then doing the step ups with those as well, even any kind of jump squats, plyometrics.
That's cool. You do like time-based things, we do rep-based things, you mix it up.
So generally like AMRAPs, like so every minute, or
as many rounds as possible in a minute.
Sorry.
I know.
And
some of us are like super workout nerds, like, I get it, Dan, I'm on it. And other people are like, I don't know.
Yeah, or to failure, right? Yeah. So a lot of times I like to do things to failure because it really gets you to the point of wearing those muscles down and getting to see how far you can push yourself. So to failure, to me, especially when you're doing body weight, you're probably not going to hurt yourself. You're not going to injure yourself, but you're really going to feel what your body can put up. It's a safe way
to test the edges.
For sure, for sure. You don't need anyone to spot you. So.
Yeah, that's cool. And what about like a running example? Like let's say you're on a treadmill or you just have a short run, like what would be a good high intensity thing? I
love like the 100-meter sprints. So really warming up with probably a mile and then doing a 100-meter sprint, take it down, increase the incline a little bit, do another 100-meter sprint and keep pushing yourself on the incline to increase your heart rate or just to get the speed up and start increasing the speed. So
how much rest would you have in between?
So in between I usually a jog. So I usually do like 100-meter sprint and then 20, 30-second jog, 100-meter sprint, 30-second jog, and really there's nothing for me that's like set. It's really, okay, what can I get done in the shortest amount of time to get my heart rate up, get my legs moving, and get a good workout in.
Love it. So earlier on you talked about how overtraining can be a serious issue with triathletes who are trying to cram a lot in. It can take its toll really on all athletes. Especially when you have these busy days. We do need to get up early to make this happen, but there's some other strategies we can do potentially around sleep and nutrition that can help with our recovery and make this thing possible.
For sure.
So what's your take on sleep and nutrition?
So sleep to me is the cheapest and most effective way to actually get some good recovery in and to help your body out. So I've really started focusing on this really on the last like 2 years. The older I get, the more important the sleep seems to be. And so really making sure to carve out, you know, at least 7 hours of sleep is very, very important. And at the end of the day, I think when everyone looks at their schedule, like you can always go to bed a little bit earlier, you know, like, and then give yourself that time in the morning. So the sleep is a big part of it. From a nutrition standpoint, that's your fuel, right? So that's what's allowing you to prepare yourself, what's allowing you to push yourself. It's feeding your entire body to perform. So to me, that's, I mean, it's huge. It's the nutrition side of it's just as important as training.
We did a little sound check earlier, and I asked you what you had for breakfast, but what'd you have for breakfast, Dan?
So my typical morning, I actually start off with a half scoop of my pre-workout, which is an all-natural pre-workout, and that really gives me the caffeine, gets me going, and then we'll get my workout in. Usually do it fasted, and then for breakfast this morning, I had eggs.
Fasted means you're not having like really eaten anything
solid
major.
Food. So you can drink pre-workout coffee, whatever it is, anything with 0 calories or net below 20 calories. Will really keep you in a fasted state. I just feel better doing it. I know some people really need to have some substance in. When I do my longer training, I definitely try to get something in before. But yeah, typically like this morning, woke up, did that, got my workout in, and then eggs, bacon, mushrooms.
Only one piece of toast.
Only one piece of toast. It came with 4 in the hotel, and I just had one. And then I'll typically mix up like, because I've already had caffeine in the morning, instead of having a coffee, I love having something warm. So I mix collagen protein and chaga mushrooms together, and it makes like a nice kind of coffee replacement. And you get some good collagen in you too to help recover.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. So quick add-on, guys. I forgot to ask this, but I wanted to get this in. So you mentioned not eating necessarily before workouts. It's helpful to work out in a fasted state, and I could even potentially save a little time so I don't have to wake up that much earlier. But what about eating afterwards?
Yeah, so it really depends on how hard the training is, how long it is. The longer and harder it is, the more carbs I usually fit in. The less intense it is, it's usually a more protein-heavy breakfast that I'll then eat after. The biggest thing with that, either one of those, you know, really listen to how your body reacts and feels, because we've all done this where we eat something and it's like, oh God, like you just feel horrible after. Like take a mental note of that, think about it, and don't repeat that again, right? Like give your body what it wants and what makes you feel good, and you'll start to noticing the more and more training you do, the more you're going to get a sense of how your body reacts to different foods and nutrients. So then you can start planning out, you know, your meals a little bit better.
Now, when you're home, it's probably easy to have your stuff, but what happens when you're on the go?
So when I'm on the go, Whole Foods is my best friend. So usually hitting their salad bar. But every restaurant, I mean, we're in California, so we're a little spoiled. But most restaurants have an option, right? Like there's always something you can get that's not fried, buttered, or whatever it is, or no sugar added to it. So to me, there's always an option, no matter, again, that's part of the no excuses thing. Like you can always find a good meal somewhere. And so at the end of the day, like hard-boiled eggs, like you can find those pretty much anywhere. Like, you know, there's different things you can squeeze in to make sure that you're not putting junk into your body.
So Dan, we get this question all the time, or this concern / comment, if you will. It comes in a lot of forms. But when, especially half marathoners out there, they're training, they're really excited, they're ticking away, they're training, and then all of a sudden they just get knocked off for a day or a couple days, and all of a sudden, you know, they're not in their happy state anymore. What would you kind of say to those guys?
What got you back into that happy state to begin with? So what was the point where you were having fun doing it, and then figure out how to get back there? For a lot of people, it is taking a break and taking some time away from that training, taking a couple days off, resetting, spending time with your family, whatever it is. For me, I really started to enjoy half marathons. And that aspect of the race, knowing that I can just wake up in one morning and I can go run 13 miles, like that was cool to me. But I knew that didn't just happen. Like I had to put some time into it. So that became like my motivational factor of like, I love the fact that I can do this, so I want to do more of it. The other thing is just being grateful. Like, not everyone can get up out of bed in the morning with their 2 legs, you know? So the fact that you can appreciate that, so don't get down on yourself for the little, you know, kind of micro losses, and really look at the big picture. Whatever it is you're targeting, whether it's a new PR, just doing a new race, just keep that in mind, and whatever's keeping you happy the most, like continue to do that from a mindset and training standpoint.
Yeah, so if we want to be consistent as much as possible, but if we were even off for a couple days, but we have been consistent, it's a drop in the bucket.
Exactly. It's not gonna matter in the big picture, right? If you miss one day, it's not gonna hurt you. Just make sure to get the training in the next day and make it up.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So tell me more about those mushrooms.
Good. Which ones? The breakfast ones or the chaga?
Hey.
Sorry, Thor, we got you in trouble.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so fun. Of course, guys, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions for Dan or ourselves on how to balance all this craziness in with your training, craziness being your life, drop those in the comments. Of course, subscribe to our channel, guys. We got new videos coming each and every week. We want you to see them, and we're gonna keep filming, potentially outside. I don't know if we have rain jackets.
Yeah.
We'll find out. But anyway,
We'll figure
guys,
it out.
we'll see you guys in the next video.